You can select rows and columns to remain visible in a workbook window as you scroll through the workbook or the spreadsheet. This is known as freezing panes. It's a great feature. Let me show you how it works. Okay, as I look at the IMBC Vision Care worksheet, when I would start to scroll through the worksheet, the column headings are out of sight, and then it can become difficult to read. So with freezing panes, that's going to take care of that issue. So let me go back up. Under the View tab, in the Windows group, you're going to see Freeze Panes. And so Freeze Panes is the first one, and that gives us the most control. I'll talk about that last. We can freeze just the top row, or we can also freeze just the first column. And that's a pretty quick and easy one. So let's start by freezing the top row. Because it doesn't make sense to freeze the IMBC Vision Care, I'm going to select the first two rows just for this demonstration, and I'm going to choose to delete them for just a minute. Okay, so now our top row are our column headings: last name, first name, street, city. So, right now I scroll, I can't see the column headings. So again, going to the View tab, Windows group, dropping down on Freeze Panes, freeze top row. Now when I scroll, more readability. They stay on the page. Okay, I'm going to drop down and I'm going to unfreeze panes. If I was to scroll past columns, and so I'm scrolling this way, you can see as I scroll, the first name, last name go out of sight. Again, I can see everything in this video, but there's times when I'm going to use more than maybe 30 columns. And so if I want to freeze the column so the last name never goes off the screen, again, freeze columns, freeze first column, and that will stay on the screen as well. Unfreeze panes. Just clicked undo to bring back my workbook headings. And so now, if I would freeze just the first row, that's not going to help us. So I want to freeze the first three rows. I go anywhere in column A. In whatever cell I select, the rows that are above the selected cell will freeze. So if I selected A7, rows 1 through 6 would freeze. I want rows 1 through 3 to freeze, so I'm selecting A4, freeze panes, and again, keeps everything visible that I need. Unfreeze panes. For whatever reason, let's say I just needed columns A and B. I go up to row 1. Whatever's to the left of my selected cell, those are the columns that will freeze. Freeze panes. Again, you can see columns A and B, or the last name and the first name column, staying on the screen. Lastly, there's times when maybe I want both rows and columns to stay on the screen, no matter which direction. So I'm going to select C4. So just like we reviewed a minute ago, whatever rows are above the selected cell, in this case rows 1 through 3, those would freeze. And because I have the columns to the left of my selected cell, those will also freeze. So I'm going to have C4 selected, going to freeze panes, scrolling up and down, scrolling left to right. So columns A and B are frozen, and rows 1 through 3. When you're done, freeze panes, unfreeze. You can also save your workbook with whatever version of the freeze rows and columns you want. Thank you.